Welcome to a very, very special presentation of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Stoneham and Wakefield and WCAT. Before I begin, as always, I want to thank the crew at WCAT for putting this together and their executive director, Ian, who has been amazing, following the shoes of Tom Stapleton and Ryan Boyd. Hasn't missed a step, and if anything, has made WCAT somehow bigger and better. So thank you. If you're not donating to the clubs, you should be donating to WCAT. With that said, we're here for a very, very special reason. We're here because we're celebrating the 10th anniversary, the 10th birthday of the Boys and Girls Club of Wakefield. I cannot believe it's 10 years, and I'm celebrating it with some very, very special people who are going to introduce themselves. So I will start with my dear friend Joey. Joey, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, my name is Joe D'Alessandro. I'm the child care program. Wow.
Wait, what's your title? Don't you know? It's been a long 10 years, everybody.
Well, you swapped from introducing us to having us introduce ourselves. So.
I'm sorry, so it's my fault.
Yeah,
You'll hear that a lot today.
No, I'm the director of child care operations for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Stoneham and Wakefield. I work with all of our licensed child care programs, and it's been a blast.
All right, and then we have Evan.
I'm Evan Reppert. I'm the director of our Wakefield Youth and Teen Center. We hang out with all the middle schoolers and have a blast.
I'm M. Sheeran. I am the communications director, and I also, way back when, growing up in Wakefield, one of my first jobs was at the Wakefield Club.
And I'm Anthony Guardia. I'm, like I said, the director of development here at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Stoneham and Wakefield. Lucky to have been on this journey from the beginning. So I don't know if you guys know the history of how it even started, but I guess that's where I'll start.
Love to hear it.
Yeah, as you should, Joey. So the Boys and Girls Club of Wakefield started with two people who couldn't be here today. They're in Washington, D.C., Colleen and George Getty. None of this would be possible if Colleen and George Getty are not involved. Colleen and George Getty were the founders, and I say this a lot about town politics and why you should get involved locally. Local involvement is, in my opinion, one of the few ways where you could point to something and say, because of me, X happened. And for George and Colleen Getty, because of them, the Boys and Girls Club of Wakefield happened. So if you're watching this, I know Colleen will. George, if you're watching this as well, thank you for everything you do, because it started about 10 years ago, longer than that actually, because it took a few years, it took about 4 years to get off the ground. Colleen Getty had written a letter to the Wakefield Daily Item about the need for young people to have a place to go, that there was not enough activities. This was really even before the rec department is what it was today, so there was not a lot going on. So I called her. I said, I read this letter. I'm like, Miss Getty, my name is Anthony Guardia. I'm involved in town. I just want to tell you I loved your letter. It was well said, well stated. And she said, oh, my husband is meeting with the new town administrator at the time, Steve Mayo, to talk about opening a Boys and Girls Club in Wakefield. And I'm like, oh my God, what a great idea. So I called George and we decided to go to the meeting together. Then, as the ball started rolling, we reached out to Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And they were the ones who said, listen, you have a Boys and Girls Club right next door in Stoneham, serves very similar demographics, has very similar programming and staffing. It would make no sense to have two entities so close to each other competing for funding, for programming, for employees. If anything, the Stoneham Club should expand into Wakefield. And that's what happened. And then it was 4 years of some very hard work, a group of people who there is a lot to thank. And if you go on our Facebook and you look through, you will see a lot of them. Off the top of my head, Bob Malhoit, Stacy Curran-Conway, Susan Wetmore, dear friend who's no longer with us, Bill Chetwin, Emily Seward, Wendy Dennis, Dan Benjamin, Lois Harma, and the list goes on. I know I'm forgetting people, and I'm apologizing now, but there was a long core group of people who really, as volunteers, put in countless hours to get that place off the ground. And then it finally happened. And there was only one of us at the time who was actually working or involved with the Boys and Girls Club when Wakefield opened. And that was you, Joey.
Yes, sir.
Joey, so okay, if you don't mind me asking, what did you know about in Stoneham when the Wakefield Club opened?
So, I mean, to be honest with you, we didn't really know much, and at first, there was a natural rivalry that ended up stewing between the Stoneham Club and the Wakefield Club, and just trying to establish our ground and see who's the better club, but between the kids and the staff and all that, and all that stuff. It was playful. There was never any derogatory feelings or anything like that, but. It ended up flourishing into a really great partnership between the two clubs. At the time, I was working with the teens, and we worked to start a nice teen program in Stoneham and expanded to try and start working with the teens in Wakefield, and that led to a lot of amazing things.
And Joey, we're going to get there in 1 second because you grew the teen programs in both Stoneham and Wakefield. But as it was growing, people have to remember when the Wakefield Club first opened, and I wasn't as involved. I remember how people would be like, "Oh my God, we got 20 kids today." We had to that was huge. And Em, you worked there. I think you were 16 at the time.
Yeah.
You were in the music department, and feel free to be as brutally honest as possible. But what were the young people, employees were always wonderful. But what was the facility like? The amount of people, whatnot.
Yeah, no, I always remember it because yes, one of my first jobs was running a choral after school program at the Wakefield Club, and I always remember, the people there were friendly, and also surprisingly at the time I was given a lot of free rein to kind of model the program how I wanted it to be, which at 16 is kind of crazy, but was a really great learning experience. The facilities are very different now, but in the best way. I mean, this was probably maybe the first year, at least the second year after Wakefield kind of got off the ground. So considering that time frame, it was already in a really great place, and it's only continued to improve since then. And I also ended up coming back, even after I went off to college, my summer job was running the very first iterations of what is now our Wakefield summer programs. And yeah, I very much remember that idea of yeah, wow, we got 10 kids today. And that was a big deal. And now it's progressed so much since then. So it's been really cool to now being back and seeing how much it's grown.
Well, it's true. And I remember those, and Em's being so polite, because I think what you're trying to say is you came back because you saw me there, and you said, I just want to work with Anthony Guardia. And I get it. But to that point,
it's a very unique thing to think.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to that point, Evan and I were having a phone call earlier today, and now in just 10 years, so let me just take you back. 10 years ago at the AmeriCal Civic Center, we have 2 rooms. That's it. 2 rooms at the Civic Center. Now, Evan, start off with what I thought was just an amazing accomplishment that you should definitely be taking credit for. How many kids come to the Wakefield Club on a regular basis, teen and early and child care?
Between our K through 4 program and our teen program, we're seeing right around 150 kids a day. That's 40 kids in our K through 4 program, and between 95 and 110 kids in our middle school drop-in program.
Now, if you go through the Wakefield Club, Evan, tell me about how, I can't do it justice. It used to be it's still a basement, right?
Absolutely.
But it used to be this dingy basement.
When I started at the club before I started,
well, I don't want to steal your thunder.
I can tell you a little bit about the changes that we've made here in Wakefield. So when I started at the Boys and Girls Club of Stoneham and Wakefield, I was based out of the Stoneham location, and I heard the term being thrown around that it was just the frat basement over at Wakefield. That it was some unfinished concrete floors. A lot of fun would be had there. A lot of sports would be played, but it was still a fairly plain room, plain space, and what made it alive was the people. Thanks to some awesome investments through some of our state legislature, we were able to secure funding to dramatically expand the offerings of that program. Joey oversaw a lot of what went into that expansion of the facilities, and then I started at the club the next year. And at the beginning of the year, I think our first day we had 36 kids, and now a year and a half later, we're seeing an average of around 100 in that middle school program every day.
Well, exactly. And that's just the teens.
Absolutely.
I mean, then you add the 50 or so young kids.
Yeah. And our kids walk right over from the middle school. They check in. We have the most wonderful woman at our front desk. Her name's Laurie. The kids sign in with Laurie. They forget to hang up their backpacks on the hooks and instead put them on the ground. And then they are off to the races. They have options between a science and STEM room, a very well-stocked art room with staff in each of these spaces doing programming. We have a video game room where they can engage in all kinds of competitions on Madden, engage in their creativity with Minecraft. We have our general game room where we have different challenges going from pool to foosball, and other fun creative challenges, as well as our music room where right now kids are working on making a music video. And then one of our really best programs that we have at Wakefield is our esports program. John Cordero runs an incredible program. He has kids in there on computers learning team-based esport games where they're building communication skills, they're building teamwork. We have virtual reality headsets. It is really a treasure trove of fun for kids. And it's paid off. The hard work that Joey put into the club, the hard work that I've put in with my team has really paid off, and we're just seeing so many benefits with all the kids coming into the club these days.
Well, and Joey, I'll defer to you. I mean, do you want to talk? Because people don't realize Joey went from Stoneham after building a successful teen program there to Wakefield to build it there. And we had so little room, people may not remember, they may remember, we actually rented space across the street. But Joey, can you remember, tell us what it was like to build that teen program in Wakefield after building a successful teen program in Stoneham?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot that went into it. And when I first made my journey over to Wakefield,
That long journey.
Yeah, the long 7-minute journey. The space, like we've talked about, it was always unique in its own way, and it always had its hidden treasures and all those things. But when you break things down, it was really the game room was just one big open room. And when we first went over there, we were able to do some pretty awesome modifications to the main space and divvying things up and making the separate rooms and separate spaces, thanks to Home Depot. And we're able to kind of identify what some of our kids' needs were and really install the programming and the staff and able to make sure that the kids their needs were being met. We went from essentially one big open room to all the programming spaces that everyone was talking about. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the staff again, because the staff are what make things happen. We have so many amazing people that work there, and without those people, none of it would be possible. We have, whether it's 10 kids a day or 700 kids a day, every kid that walks in that building is being engaged in all the right ways and making sure that they're involved and all their needs are being met.
Fire Chief Sullivan's watching, we do not have 700 kids.
No, we definitely don't have that. But
we are pushing the fire limit.
Before COVID, we were hitting days where we had 200, 220 kids within our spaces, and we were bursting at the seams. It was a testament to the great staff that we had, and all the partners and things that we had to come in and work with our kids. But then obviously COVID hit. Right before that, we secured a teen center across the street, which was also uniquely amazing in its own right, where you walk down this dark alley and all of a sudden there's this teen space that explodes from the seams and has all these great things going on. You hear music, you hear kids outside playing basketball and all that stuff. And when we had the kids separated at that point, our teens were across the street, and all of our child care program was based out of the Civic Center. Coming back from COVID, we were able to kind of refresh, and Evan taking over, he did such an amazing job. Just recruiting kids and staff and making sure that everyone was in the right place to succeed. Coming back from COVID, everyone's needs were different. We were working with kids that pre-COVID were going into kindergarten and first grade, and post-COVID coming back as fourth and fifth graders, not even knowing really how to interact with one another. So it really took you can have all the shiny bells and whistles that you want, but those things aren't going to mean anything unless you have the people to engage. And they did a really good job with that and kind of reestablished our footprint within the town of Wakefield, and we've been able to hit the ground running. We're almost back up to those numbers now. So
Well, yeah, and let me just say, I think so much of that has to go. I mean, credit to the two of you and the teams you've built. Just the other day, Evan and I were talking about the music program, and we have an incredible young woman there, Ashley, and we're talking about how her connection to the kids, right? And I forget who it was. There was a principal in Wakefield, but he had a great line where he said, "I don't care about the facility that much. It is about the people. If you build the connections, that's the most important thing. A young person will go to a terrible location without any bells and whistles if they can be with somebody like Evan, versus the best location and all the bells and whistles if they don't have somebody there who they feel the connection with." And all those tools that we now have are there to help build those connections. We are going to talk about a birthday party, February 29th. You'll get more info. We're going to talk about it near the end, where you can actually come to the Wakefield Club and see all that. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention, so people are hearing these numbers, they're saying, and the food pantry knows that we love the food pantry. So just add WCAT, donate to WCAT, the Boys and Girls Clubs, and the Wakefield Food Pantry. But they say you're busting at the seams. How long can you be here? I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight one of our both high and low points of the Wakefield Club was when we almost bought the building across the street, the old Molise building. We were all very excited for that.
I still have people asking me, "Hey, are you guys moving next door?"
We were so excited. We still are excited. There's times, unfortunately, without getting into it, there was just a variety of environmental issues that we could not clean up to our liking to allow for childcare. But fortunately, it does look like there is a brand new development going on in there. But if you know any of big buildings in downtown Wakefield, we're happy where we are. But obviously, when you go through the space, you can see how tight it can get when you have all these kids. And these kids don't mind because they want to be next to the staff. And, I don't, I'd also be remiss if I did not mention, I think before your time, but not before Joey and I's time. We're the old guys in the room.
that's fine.
But we're building on the shoulders of very successful people, and it's a Sean Wilson, Jamie Block, Chris Thurston, Riley, and yourself, Joey.
No.
Yeah, we've been very lucky, and I guess, I almost feel like with a guy like Evan, and Evan, please take this as positively as I'm saying it, and I'm not trying to suck up to you here. We always worry like, oh my God, are we going to be able to find a leader who is as good as the last one? And Evan, replacing Joey is hard, but you're so much better than Joey. Like,
Hey,
not
listen,
even close.
I agree. I went into those interviews, and there was a long process when going through that. And Evan was someone that I was a huge fan of, and at the time, I couldn't sing anything but praises for him, and he's delivered. Thank you for not making me look bad. No, but there's so many things that go into identifying and connecting with kids nowadays, especially again post-COVID. It's just a different world, and I've said it a million times. And whenever it's what makes us different and separates us from other youth working organizations within the communities that we work in is the connections that we build, and that's based off of the staff that we have.
True. And even recently, like, we go beyond the walls too, like in the 10th year anniversary, while so much of what we do is at the clubs, you see us at Wakefield voting. You see us with Inspire Cafe. I had a dear friend ask me, why are you involved with that? Isn't that out of your wheelhouse? But, credit to Adam, our CEO, who recognizes we are the largest nonprofit social service provider that serves Wakefield. So when that happens, if an organization comes to you and asks you for help, like the case in Inspire Cafe, you don't say no. You figure out how to make it work. So I know we only have about 10 minutes left. I want to talk about the birthday party, but I want to go around, and I'll start with them, and just say, what are some of your favorite programs now at the club? And I'm going to add one more layer to it because both me and you were Barris people, which if you're from Wakefield, that means we were in WHS TV. I'm openly a Barris person.
I was too. I guess.
Yeah, I was part of the WHS TV group. But as somebody with your background in theater and stage and music and film, what do you think about the growth of that program? And then we'll go around and maybe if you guys could list one of your top favorite programs and why.
Yeah, I mean, the arts in general, and the arts is broader than I think most people often consider it to be, and is more vital than people consider it to be. Because it does include music, but also, crafts, but also painting and traditional art, but also film and anything that's creative in any sense. And it's something that often gets overlooked, but I'm very grateful that our clubs don't overlook it and really do try to support it and make it available for our youth. So and as someone who again was on the earliest stages, a part of the earliest stages of it at Wakefield, it's really nice to see how it's grown. The fact that we do have a resident arts and music program there now is wonderful to see.
Well, a resident person and a resident room.
Yes, a music room entirely for that. That's awesome to see. Another favorite, which Evan already mentioned a lot of, but esports is really, really fantastic because it's, again, something that I'm always a rooter for, something that gets often overlooked by folks. And the benefits of using esports and video games, something that youth are already have a huge interest in, then it makes it so much easier to just get them passionate about something, get them involved. And you shouldn't brush that aside. If it's already there, take advantage of it. And that's just a prime example of a lot of what I think the mentality is at the clubs, of seeing the opportunities that are there and taking advantage of it, because it's a two-step process of recognizing something that can be utilized, but also going for it. And I'm always very excited to see when our program leaders or directors go for something like that. So, yeah.
Now, Evan, what about you?
So you asked a very specific question. I'm going to answer it a little bit differently. I think I'm really excited to see the way that the culture of inclusion has been built at the club.
Oh, that's a great answer.
This
is why. That's a good Evan answer.
So my mentality and my methodology with my staff team is always hang out with the kids, find out what they want to do, and apply adult skills and resources to their ideas. So we are very much a youth-directed club in terms of the activities that go on there. If a child has an idea, I have given all of my staff team the full license to say, I love this idea, let's run with it. They then get the materials. Currently, we have a group of kids working on some really awesome Lego installations that are going to be accentuating as art in some of our different spaces. They're working on a Pac-Man arcade for our video game room. There's a Van Gogh piece that they're going to be working on. We're really excited for just the contributions that all kids can have into our club space. I'm also just really excited about the numbers that we've been having up in our gym. Chris Brown, who many people here in Wakefield know, he coaches basketball for the JV team. He really does it all. And he runs our sports up there and does such an amazing job.
Really does.
He is a fantastic role model for those kids. And we've been layering in a lot of teaching about teamwork, a lot of teaching about responsibility and healthy competition, which is, I think, something that is so necessary and so important to instill in, especially at the middle school age, that kids know how to compete with each other well, and in a way that is constructive to both them and their opponent. And that's something that we're doing not only on our gym, but also in our esports studio and in some of our challenge spaces in the game room.
No, wonderful. So Joey, last but not least, that makes
Shout out to the Wakefield staff. Chris Brown is the Bill Belichick of Wakefield youth sports. I want to give a shout out to Tyler. He's our site coordinator for the Wakefield EEC programming. One thing that Tyler and his team are able to really hit the ground running with this year is the mentoring program. They have literally all 40 kids in that program being mentored by either a staff member or a community partner or someone with reach and knowledge that wanting to pass it down to those kids. It's a great thing because it's like I said, what we preach is our connections and our relationships with our kids and families. Tyler has been able to really force that into the programming model that we're offering up there and making it really just centered around the mentoring piece. So every kid that's coming in is receiving everything that they need, but also is being paired with a trusted adult. I think that that's really important. And as those kids continue to progress in our program and they get older and it's a feeder system right into Evan's program, I think it sets up Wakefield for some success moving forward. So shout out to Bag of Tea. I appreciate you.
No, absolutely, and it's so true. So we only have about 4 minutes left. So I want to take.
So let's party.
So let's party. No,
Yeah.
so 4 minutes left. I want to invite everybody who's watching to the Wakefield birthday party. It is the best date ever because you cannot forget it. February 29th. On February 29th, we're going to have an open house in Wakefield. You can see everything that we're talking about, see the space, come through, meet the staff, meet the kids, and it is amazing because I tell everybody, you walk through and you take a left and you're in a science lab. You keep going through and next thing you know, you're in an art room. And the murals that you have done on the walls are just amazing. And these are the kids who have done it. It's not like...
It's the kids and some of our staff.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Carly Swanson, who was a former staff member of ours, Abby Seabrook, and David Cardenas, all have contributed such incredible work to our spaces. And they've really livened up this basement and made it look like a warm and welcoming and inviting place.
No, they really, really did. And they've done an amazing job. And you can see all of it, from the music room to the science lab to the e-gaming area on the 29th.
It's also a combined birthday for me, right? It's going to be my birthday party, too.
Is your birthday February 29th?
It's 28th, but it's close enough.
Now, and as everybody knows, Joey turns the big 5-0. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, he doesn't. FYI, Joey's not 50 years old.
Yeah.
But it is going to be a lot of fun, and we will celebrate Joey as well. But that's about it, guys.
I promise Anthony won't steal the show if you guys show up. You will get to interact with the rest of us as well.
But nobody will want to. You'll all want. I will try my best to talk to everybody who comes, and I will sign autographs. $20 a pop. They'll be split 50-50 between me and the clubs. That's my. You're welcome. And I'm happy to do it for the kids. It's all for the kids.
Shout out Teabag. Love it.
So guys, it'll be fun. And all right, well guys, anything else you want to add? I guess just thank you to WCAT as always.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
We
very much.
appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
And I hope to see everybody on the 29th.